and welcome to the Sydney Ideas International Public Lecture Series at the University of Sydney. I'm Meredith Hall, Program Manager for Sydney Ideas. I'm very pleased to co-present tonight's Sydney Ideas lecture by the esteemed American composer John Corigliano with the University of Sydney's Conservatorium of Music.
Thank you. If you notice my suntan, I just got back from Cairns, where I was yesterday exploring the Barrier Reef, which is one of the great experiences of my life. You have a country that's so amazing in every way that I really, every time I come back, I discover something new. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about the biggest question that is asked of a composer by either other musicians or lay people who love music, and that is, how do you write a piece? What do you do? Do you start with a melody? Do you start with a bunch of chords on a guitar or a piano and make a melody above that? In fact, today there really are no rules. You have to make up your own rules. I mean, I could start a piano piece this way, or I could start it this way, or I could start it this way, or I could start it this way. So where do I get my stuff, my materials of building a piece from? We have to understand that music reflects the human condition. In fact, architecture has been called music frozen in the dimension of time. All the things a concerto has, that is orchestral introduction, soloist comes in lyrically, orchestral virtuosity, soloist and orchestra virtuosity, cadenza, etc. I've got to write a piece that solves the problems that I think are inherent in writing a percussion concerto. So I thought about it, and the first thing I did was I typed out my problem. One, illuminating the percussionist as a concerto soloist. And then I said, A variety of instruments played makes focus of the soloist difficult. Most percussion concertos sound like orchestral pieces with opulent percussion parts. And here was my problem. When you get to those pitched versus unpitched categories, actually, they're not really true. I would have a movement where wooden instruments were played. Now we know wood, if you hit it, doesn't last. So that's going to be obviously a kind of staccato movement. Things are not going to be held, okay? Only strings accompany, and 3 movements, wood, metal, and skin. It's hard for somebody playing a beautiful melody to go, because these 2 notes could be played on one side of the vibraphone, but the F sharp, you've got to go to the other side and bow that one and hit it, and then back to the other one. It's because the high note of the vibraphone and the low note is an F. And the scale sounds like this. It's called a mode. The strings take over with a lyrical line. And as you see, it just says contrapuntal 2 themes. So here I have the melody that this brought down playing, and then I have the melody that will be the climax of the movement. Now that's the kind of a thing you don't give a violinist or a pianist, because if you say improvise a cadenza, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, it really could be really bad, because they've never improvised. I mean, it's not in their world. They've learned to play music that's written down. But when you get a percussionist, they're used to playing percussion and improvising. So here, they're as fast as possible, or but here is, and what happens is this drops down. She plays the marimba, she plays the xylophone, and it sort of leaps up and down like that, and then begins a huge climax, and then drops down to that. So I know the piece. I haven't written it yet now. Not anything excepting one theme. And that's usually more than I do when I start a piece like this. I usually have a map with no themes. But all in all, I think what guides me is where I'm going. I think it's very important to know where you're going. I know a lot of young composers and a lot of composers who start a piece and don't know where they're going. I think this is a good method of knowing where is the important spot, where is the climax. I have lots of friends who are composers who just think of ideas, write them down, and move and move and move and move. But for me, it's an evolutionary process. If I work on a piece and I really feel I've got it, I don't duplicate. For example, I have 3 symphonies, but they're not for the same medium. The first is for full orchestra. The second one is for strings alone. And the third one is for what we call concert band, that is all winds, brass, and percussion. So they aren't the same. The same with concerti. I will never write a second piano concerto or violin concerto. And as far as technology, I love it when I hear it. And I love to be in the control room. I was a record producer for Columbia Records, and I feel I can really handle sound and know about miking and all of that. But I don't use it in my composing. I think today it's a very weird time to compose because you can hear all the music from all over the world anytime you want. And so the amount of influences are staggering. How do you choose? How do you choose what to do?
So thank you for coming,
Sure.
and thank you on behalf of the University of Sydney and the Sydney Conservatorium of Music.
Thank you. Thank you.